States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we have Tom Newland for the Grand Avenue Bridge update.
Thank you, Mayor. So July 6th council update. I'm going to let you know what's going on as far as work and traffic impacts during the next month. As far as ongoing traffic impacts go, we do have that I-70 eastbound lane closure ongoing through the rest of the month. We also have the exit 116 lane closures for the eastbound on-ramp. That's the way to Denver, and that closure happens 5:30 to 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. It's ongoing. And the exit 116 exchange, although we're done with most of the work there, all we have to do really is install the detour signage, and that's what's going to be occurring this month.
Can you move the mic just a little closer, Tom?
Oh, certainly. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
You bet. Downtown, work going on downtown. We will have lane closures on 8th and 9th Street between Cooper and Colorado for those signal change upgrades. Those will actually happen the night of the 17th through the 19th from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. and then during the day on the 21st from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. We're also installing the pavers beginning next week, and the picture here shows you an example of what those are going to look like next to the new walls. It'll really look nice down there, I think. As far as the north side goes, a lot of activity happening here in preparation of the bridge closure. The roadway from the north abutment to 6th and Laurel has been poured. We are also working on that north leg of the new roundabout, and that's ongoing through August. And then work on the North Causeway is underway. The river is open, and we have spotters that stop the work when boat traffic appears. So that's how we're managing river traffic during this work. And we also have a pedestrian detour beginning up at 6th and Laurel at the end of July, and that's required because we need to work on the roundabout and basically are closing these two crosswalks here. So a person coming from Two Rivers Park and traveling west on at 6 would follow the red arrows down to Grand Avenue and then west down 6th. The 7th Street station is coming along. The elevator installation is ongoing through July, and we're also working on staining the canopy tiles. The pedestrian underpass on the north side, the lighting installation is almost complete. We also have an anti-graffiti seal coming in next week. And the pedestrian walkway concrete pours are wrapping up as well.
Tom, could I ask you one question about the pedestrian underpass? Am I correct that that will not be open during the detour yet? Is that correct, or do you know when that will open?
I was under the impression it would be open, but I'll check with you on that to make sure, Mike.
Okay.
But I believe that we are going to have that open.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll check though and make sure.
All right.
Traffic bridge is also another part of the work that we're really going on right now. The abutment work is done. The Rose flagstone masonry is in the progress of being placed, and we're also pouring the barriers up on the deck. Between those are the barriers for the sides of the of the bridge. As far as the detour goes, we've had a lot of meetings and gotten the word out, but I do want to let you know that the detour configuration, that's the striping and signage along the detour route, will be installed and will begin the first week of August. As far as public meetings go, this is a picture of our first open house meeting. I counted 150 people there, so it's a great turnout. In fact, we're getting more space for the next one. The GAB team and the city staff has attended, and yourselves as well, council has attended over 50 public meetings to date. I think we started them in April, so that was quite amount of meetings to do. And like I said, over 150 people at our first open house. I have a list of some upcoming meetings I'd like to go for, let you know about before I close. The Blue Zone meeting, July 13th at Centennial Park, 5 p.m. We'll be at the Summer of Music on Wednesday, July 9th. That starts at 6. The Green Zone meeting will be at the Sunlight Foursquare Church on July 20th at 8 a.m., I'm sorry. The Downtown Business and Residents meeting, this is kind of an ongoing meeting that we have. The next one will be Friday, July 21st at City Hall Council Chambers. And we're also distributing flyers on that paving work to all the businesses and residents downtown. I think I sent you guys a copy of that as well so you can see it. The final Detour Transit Task Force being held at the contractor's office Friday, July 21st. The Orange Zone is at American Furniture Warehouse on the 27th at noon. We have our second open house on August 1st at the Glenwood Springs Community Center at 4:30. Please come by if you're interested. And then finally, we're going to do the Purple Zone meeting at the Summit Cannon Mountaineering Shop at noon on August 3rd. So that's what I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Does anyone have any questions for Tom? Thank you.
You bet.
All right, at this point, I would let anyone speak to us about something that they're wanting to talk to us about that is not on this evening's agenda.
Thank you. I'm Jerry Vanderbeek. I live on 9th and Blake. And I wanted to alert the City Council to a major potential fire hazard right at the Boy Scout Trail. I hike up there, several times a month, sometimes several times a week. I was up there yesterday, and there is a little spur about 200 yards into the trail that goes straight up. It's called the Suicide Route. And you go up about 50 vertical feet. There are some provisional improvised campsites. Now, I've hiked there for many years, and in past years there's been only one camper there that is there most of the year. One campsite, not always the same tenant. And that's the only nice campsite there is. Today there are 8 sites. I took some pictures, and I think I sent Kathy on, and Jonathan Goes, I sent it on via Facebook, and I also alerted Chief Wilson. Homelessness will not go away here anytime soon, but this is a safety hazard. I saw one site, the lowest one, where the tenant had abandoned it completely and left a humongous mess. I've subsequently, in fact today, I met one of the people there. They come by my house to get the free food at the Methodist Church. And he said, he knew I was concerned. He said, Jerry, I told this young man at the Feed My Sheep location that he had to clean it up, and he said he had. I haven't been up there today, but it's a real hazard. I don't think it's city property. It may be BLM. I don't know who owns it. It could be Forest or BLM, but it is a safety issue. And I got a text back from the police department saying that they would check into it and stop it or mitigate it based on public hazard. I know, Kathy, you mentioned it may not be city property, but it is a public hazard, and it is so dry there. So I appreciate your concern. I wanted you to know about it, and it's within 200 yards of homes right there, and within 200 yards of 8th Street. So thank you for your attention.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thanks, Jerry.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak to us about something not on this evening's agenda? All right, seeing none, I will close that and bring it back to council. Are there any council comments anyone would like to make?
Well, I just would like to echo Jerry's concern on that issue, because it is, it's tinder dry around here. Glenwood has had such a history of issues with wildfire. We can't afford to take those things lightly. So, I think Chief Tillotson and Chief Wilson are going to be addressing that in conjunction with BLM, as far as making sure something is done about that, about the hazard. So I appreciate it, Jerry's forwarding those pictures on, so that helped.
I agree.
just like to say this is the anniversary of the Storm King fire today. 14 young lives gone, and if you haven't thought about it much today or had the opportunity, keep that in mind. We're lucky recipients of some valor.
I agree. Thanks. Rick. Any other further comments? All right, we'll go to the consent agenda. I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I would move to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
All right, we have a motion by Kathy and a second by Rick to approve the consent agenda. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, next up, we have an update from CLEAR, Runner Springs Sustainability Program.
Yes. All right, I have a PowerPoint to share, so let me get this plugged in. Thank you. Let's see. That one, or no. I think it's that. I don't see it here. Let's see. Is it that one? Oh, yes, that's it. Perfect. Great. All right, my name's Erica Sparhawk, and I'm on staff at CLEAR, and we deliver your sustainability program through the utility company. And Mona Newton with CORE is also with me, and is going to give a short update on the CORE program in Glenwood as well. Let me try to get this in display mode. There we go. So we provided a pretty thorough report in the packet, so I just want to share some highlights, and we have in some of the charts for the viewing audience as well. But let me know, and feel free to interrupt if you have any questions on what we're going through. We like to provide this just as a little history, especially for any of the newer board members. Really, we started working directly with the city and implementing rebates on efficiency and solar kind of in the middle of 2011. But we had done a pilot program in the early days of our GNECI grant in 2008, 2009. And it was really one of the first in the state that worked on providing rebates and retrofit dollars, and actually helped form the Colorado Energy Office's Main Street program, which then they provided grant funding, which we did end up receiving for communities all over the state. So it's a neat component of the program in Glenwood that you guys were part of a pilot program that actually helped drive these programs happening in communities all over the state. Other way. One of the things we like to point out with all of these programs is when work is usually, I mean, we work with local contractors from all over. Invested in projects. As you can see, the bulk of that is in commercial projects, and that is where we traditionally see the most energy savings, because you get a lot of bang for your buck when you work with a business owner that's got a bunch of lights they want to change out, or a bunch of refrigerators they want to upgrade to more efficient refrigerators. And while it's an investment, you'll see on the next slide that they also see quite a bit of savings. So in 2016, all of our work led to about $70,000 in savings across the sectors. And again, it's reflected in the commercial programs. And then we also had solar. And we like to show this chart because there was some existing solar at the beginning of the programs in 2008, but it's really increased over the years. And this is the trend across the county, also as part of the work and the partnership the city has with Garfield Clean Energy. One thing which you may have received questions about, and I know we've had lots of meetings with Deborah about it, is we did suspend rebates in solar for this year, for 2017. And Deborah or Robin could chime in, but dealing with some unknown fees coming from MEAN and I don't think we even still have those quite figured out.
We
So
do not.
yeah, so we didn't want to have the city be giving away rebates and then potentially dealing with additional fees from Mean. And so until we get those clarified,
We
we,
just shifted them to the other programs. if I
yes,
remember
yeah,
correctly.
exactly. So we took those dollars that were gonna be in the rebate money and shifted it into our other commercial rebate money, so. Let's see. So this is the commercial program. We threw up some of the logos for some of the businesses. I'm sure you'll recognize them that we did work with. We love getting those big users engaged in projects because that does bring down the peak demand that the city then has to pay for. So hopefully, once we get clarity from Mean on costs, that could help reduce some of the overall costs that you have on your wholesale costs with electricity. So we provide a free walkthrough service for businesses, which I'm also saying, so in case there's anybody here who wants one. And that's where our team, we have a person come out and walk through the business, identify lighting opportunities or refrigeration, potentially heating equipment or cooling equipment. And we've worked with a lot of great businesses and continue to do that in Glenwood. And a lot of it is word of mouth. We get a lot of word of mouth business. So we had 22 businesses make upgrades. And then as we work with a business, we call it energy consulting or energy coaching. And we just help review bids, and then we provide the energy savings calculations and show them the payback. And we help make sure they'll get rebates from the city, but if it's a gas saving project that they want to do, that they also get available rebates from Black Hills Energy. And then we also work closely with CORE to make sure they get a CORE rebate if they qualify for that, which they all do. But. And then this is our residential program. We provide rebates for primarily insulation, LED lighting, weatherization, which is making sure a home is tighter. Maybe that's air sealing, sealing up cracks. And then cooling systems, and then we do have some water energy savings projects that we'll give a rebate for. And the insulation we do give, even if they're a gas customer, because we are seeing these warmer summer days. And it is amazing how many people in Glenwood don't have cooling systems because they haven't needed them. So we'd rather get them to beef up their insulation and hopefully still not need one before they go and install an expensive cooling system. Or they could get a smaller one if we can deal with insulation. Then every year we run this quick calc that just shows what the costs of the savings per kilowatt hour are. And the average wholesale electric cost right now is, 5 to 6 cents. And these, our programs and all these rebates are less than 2 cents. So it's a good deal for the city in that terms. And this is a frequent way that utilities, especially I've seen other municipal utilities like the city of Fort Collins, how they gauge their programs and what they're investing, making sure that it's always less than what they would pay for the kilowatt hour on the wholesale market. And then this is just a budget breakdown. I won't go through the numbers, but this just shows you what was budgeted for 2016 and then what we actually spent. And let me know if you've got questions about that. And this is it put in chart form, just showing that most of the program dollars are rebate dollars that are going directly out to your customers that complete projects. And like I mentioned, we work closely with CORE. We make sure we take advantage of any Black Hills Energy rebates. We have a new partnership with Garfield Clean Energy and Excel Energy, along with Black Hills and Holy Cross, on a countywide program. So we're going to tie in your program into that as well so that all the marketing is consistent and just shows that you guys are part of a bigger effort, but then we have your dollars focused on the rebates for your community members. And that's it for my slides. Do you guys have any questions?
Any questions for Erica?
Erica, how can the city council help this effort going forward? I know that statewide, at least at the Department of Energy within state government is sort of in a funding sort of quandary at the moment.
Mhm.
Do you have thoughts about how the council could help with that or anything else?
The Colorado Energy Office funding doesn't direct most of our programs. If it did impact Garfield Clean Energy programs primarily through our refuel funding that helps us with our CNG work, where we've worked, that's how the station got built in Glenwood, and electric vehicles. And then there have been some small programs out of Colorado Energy Office that we'd love to see come back. And one of those was providing incentives and additional marketing for people who are in either selling their home or buying their home to get an extra certification. It's called a home energy score. And the idea is that that's added to the MLS on a home so that a new home buyer could say, if they have two homes they're deciding between that are similar in every other way, which I doubt that would happen. But if one is a HES score of 9, they would know that that's performing better than 90% of the homes out there versus one that's a score of 2. Then they'd know that home might need a lot of energy efficiency work. And that was something that the Colorado Energy Office started, and it would be great if we continued that effort. And we did work closely with the Glenwood Association of Realtors on promoting that. But I think promoting the program to any businesses or homeowners that you know, or if any of you would like to go through the program, we'd love to do case studies, and it's good to show leadership in all these programs. The more people who do it, the more other people want to take advantage of the effort. So I think that would be one way. But I'll think about it more and follow up with you if I have other ideas.
Thanks.
Okay.
Any other questions for Erica?
All right, I'm going to hand it over to Mona.
Thank you, Erica.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Hi, my name is Mona Newton, and I'm with CORE, the Community Office for Resource Efficiency. And I came with Shelley, I guess it was last year, but some of you are new council people, so I thought I would just give you a little bit of an overview of the Community Office for Resource Efficiency, and Deb and I are going to meet later. So in next week, I think. I believe it is. And so Community Office for Resource Efficiency has been in the Roaring Fork Valley for over 20 years, and we have a membership of all the communities in the valley, and Glenwood Springs has been a member of CORE for at least 6 years. I've been with 5 years, so I'm not exactly sure how long that's been, but I know that's how long it's been. And so Glenwood Springs pays about $15,000, and it's included in your sustainability program budget, to be a member of CORE. And so together we work with CLEAR and the city to help create a stable climate, a stronger economy, and a healthy community. So just a little bit about CORE. We help people save energy, and we do that by what we say empowering. We offer grants to nonprofit organizations and governments. We offer rebates to citizens and businesses and public entities throughout the Roaring Fork Valley. We engage and educate. We do community events throughout the valley. We have an e-newsletter. We do workforce training. We held the the contractor workshop again this year in Glenwood Springs in partnership with CLEAR and GCE. And then we work with green teams in town, in the communities throughout the valley, to help them develop their programs and policies. And then we table and we do outreach events. We'll be at the two farmers markets events this year. And then we partner with businesses, municipalities, nonprofits, and utilities. And partner with Glenwood Springs Utilities, Aspen, City of Aspen Electric, and then Holy Cross Energy as well. And then we partner with other nonprofits, and I'll tell you a little bit about our outreach and engagement program that we're doing. And then we work with communities on climate action planning. We've been working with communities in Pitkin County, Snowmass, and Basalt, and Carbondale, partnership with CLEAR this year to develop climate action plans, and we help develop policies around building codes and other infrastructure policies. So in 2016, and I'm not going over savings, I'm trying to avoid any duplication to create confusion, but so I'm not focusing on the savings, I'm just telling you the amounts of rebates that CORE provided to residents and businesses within the community. Erica mentioned, we work with the Energy Smart assessments. CORE aggregates all of those contributions from the various utilities so that a home energy assessment is only $100 for a customer because the City of Glenwood Springs contributes, Black Hills Energy contributes, and then if there's a need be, CORE might contribute a little bit, but the customer has an out-of-pocket cost of $100 to get an assessment that's worth about $400. And we did 30 of those this year in 2016 in Glenwood Springs. So, and then over the year, we contributed $103,000 to businesses and homes. We offered 53 home energy rebates, and that was a total of $40,000. And we offered 34 rebates to the commercial sector for $64,000. And that does not only include the electric savings, but includes natural gas projects as well, and PV systems. And I didn't realize the issue with me and your provider and your demand. And so if that's a conversation that we should have and not offer PV rebates to your customers, we can do that. We only provided 4 last year, but if it's hindering your ability with Mean, we don't want to create a conflict.
It's more about the energy provider that we have to pay than about an inability to roll out the rebates.
Right, and so if it's something that we should suspend in Glenwood Springs, we should have that conversation. If not, we're happy to continue to provide the
Let's talk
rebates
next week.
to the customers. That sounds good. So, and then we offer, as I mentioned, grants, and we paid out $46,000 to grantees in 2016. And we say we paid out because sometimes we award grants and they actually don't get completed for a year or 2. And so that's why we say that. In 2016, we actually awarded about, I think it was $26,000 to various entities. But they haven't completed them, so we won't pay them out. So the total amount that this city received through various rebates and grants was $149,000 in 2016. So as I mentioned, we have a new engagement outreach program called the High Five. And what we're trying to do is fuse together the environment, art, and community to get greater action. And the High Five stands for High Five, the 5 high altitude communities, the celebratory High Five, and then we want to get people to do more, 5 actions. So we ask you to not only just do energy, but water, waste, transportation, activities that get people to do more. In June, our activity of the month was Green Your Commute, something I know you all have been really working very hard on to get people to get out of their cars, especially in anticipation of this major project that's already ongoing. So it was to get people out of their cars and onto their bikes or figuring out other things that they could do. So people can sign up. You all can sign up by going to High Five. You pledge to do 5 things. You could be eligible for a prize. I think Erica's actually won prize too. And we're trying to make it fun. We're trying to engage people and get them to do more because we all have set these goals. The communities throughout the region from Aspen to Parachute to Eagle have set energy efficiency targets and goals for renewable energy, and we know that if we're going to reach those goals in the time frame we've set, we all need to do more. So that's why we're trying to make it fun and get people engaged. So those are the items I have. I want to give you an updated sheet. I accidentally had an error in our report after going through the numbers, so I apologize. And we included a report that summarizes some of the information, and I'd like to just give you the corrected version. I apologize for that.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions?
Any questions for Mona? Go ahead.
So Mona, the money that you're able to rebate for clean energy sorts of purchases, do you ever have to turn anybody away because you're running out of money? I mean, I know we've got your stats here, but just curious whether the demand is exceeding the supply.
It is. The demand is exceeding the supply. We haven't had that situation yet. The funds come from the Renewable Energy Mitigation Program that are assessed in Pitkin and the city of Aspen, and that is when you build a larger home, 5,000, 10,000 square feet, or you install a heated driveway or a pool or a hot tub, you either have to mitigate on site, that's according to their building code, or you pay into this fund, and CORE is responsible for mitigating that CO2 or that energy, if you will, through these programs. We are going to run up against a ceiling because, as you can see, I should have given you a chart of what the increase we've seen just in Glenwood Springs. People are more eager to do more energy efficiency projects, and we've seen a large uptick over the last couple of years. We have not had to say no. It's not to say that we aren't. As I said, we're looking at 2018 because the other thing, as we work with policy and we help Pitkin County tighten up their building code, that means that builders or homeowners are going to have to build smaller houses and do more to mitigate their on-site energy use. So that means we would collect fewer rent dollars. So there may be a time where we would say, we have a pool of funding, once it's gone, it's gone. The other thing is that we have a larger demand in Aspen and Pitkin County because the funds are generated there, that they may say, we really need to focus on upgrading our affordable housing, or we have a new building. So, but we haven't had that happen because our board is comprised of 9 people that represent various entities in the valley, and so fortunately, knock on wood, we have not had that happen yet, and we hope it doesn't. So, but we're always trying to think about how can we tweak our rebates, or what might we do to make, we heighten, for example, the restrictions for insulation or appliances, because the idea of the incentive is not to encourage somebody to just buy a refrigerator or just to insulate their home. They have to do better than code, and so we're always trying to balance that, so we can encourage somebody to do the right thing and then balance the fundings that we have. Long-winded answer, but.
So far, so good.
So far, so good, yeah.
Great. Any other questions from Mona? Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, both of
Thank you for your time.
coming down.
Thanks for your work.
All right. Next item is the Resolution 2017-32, a resolution of the City of Glenwood Springs, Colorado, contracting for the installation of the stairs for the 14th Street pedestrian bridge. So the 14 3/4 Street pedestrian bridge.
Yeah, had a name. It has a name
Or
now.
the red, what did we
What do we
decide?
call it? Red Mountain Pedestrian Bridge.
Red Mountain Pedestrian Bridge
Congratulations.
connected to the Evan Carrington Memorial Path. Yes, there you
Nice.
go.
Okay. For today, I'll call it the 14th Street stairs, just because I haven't tracked that whole name yet. But we did receive one bid for this project, and it was a council priority to get these stairs in ahead of the detour closure. Unfortunately, the bid was 100% higher than what we had estimated in-house, what the installation cost should be for that project. The bid was provided by Phoenix Industries, and it came in at $99,000 just for the stair installation. So, that is concerning to us. We would really rather spend our money in other places. We do have an idea of something that could happen. We have a couple ideas. One is that if the council really wants these stairs to be guaranteed and installed in 30 days ahead of the detour, we should go ahead and award the bid that's been offered. The second alternative would be for city staff, Mr. Milliard and his staff, to evaluate placing the stairs in-house. I will remind you that we have ordered the stairs. The fabrication costs and the delivery costs came in at $25,000. So we will be getting a set of stairs. The additional work would be pouring concrete foundations and setting the stairs with a crane, and some site grading work. I believe there's a little bit of drainage work as well. Robin and Deborah and I will sit down and evaluate whether or not that could be done by city staff. But there wouldn't be a guarantee that that would be installed ahead of the August 14th closure. Another possible alternative is that there is an existing trail system today. You know, the kids kind of scramble up and down that bank. It's steep. You know, it probably wouldn't be I know it works today and it's gravel. During snowstorms or any other inclement weather, you know, that probably becomes pretty slippery. And one thing we could do is to go out there and evaluate if there's anything we can do to change it. You know, clear the vegetation a little, maybe regrade and make the path less steep so that we could provide an interim solution to placing the stairs. And if we did that, we could store the stairs at the snow dump area or somewhere nearby. And then in 2018, we do need to have another project both at this site, at the pedestrian bridge site, to finish the lighting, some signage, path separation out there, potentially the stairs, as well as the West Midland Trail system. We wanted to do some additional landscaping out on that. So we could combine those two, that work together, and then rebid in the spring with hopefully better prices.
I guess part of the problem is there's extreme labor shortage right now. And there's just no way around that.
Just a question, but you'll have to back me up. About 90 days, we stepped away from a previous bid from a contractor. And
We
was
did,
that
yes. You know,
58, 80,000, do you remember?
I think it was about 80, wasn't it? That's what I'm remembering.
you know, I don't remember the exact number. We thought it was expensive at the time. You know, Mark Gold did provide us a bid, and we thought that, you know, at the time we decided we weren't going to award that work. We went ahead and, you know, tried to negotiate with him to add the work back in. He came up in with much higher costs for grading and admitted at that time that, you know, he had missed some numbers and it seemed inflated even at that time, and it wasn't inflated to the extent that this is.
I had just called him a contractor, but
Yeah.
did he, and he had no interest in?
He did not provide a bid for this, and I think Deborah made a good point. We have heard that there is a valley-wide labor shortage. Our understanding is that on the Grand Avenue Bridge project, they're really having a hard time keeping people on site. They're walking around with wads of bills trying to keep people staying in their jobs, and that they were losing on the order of 6 or 7 people a day to other contractors. So I imagine that that's playing into the high bid prices that we're seeing.
We've got a landing in the middle of this run.
Yes, it's two runs, so a landing in the center.
I guess I'd like to see us, see if we couldn't do that in-house, evaluate that. It's not that complicated of a project in my mind. But short of that happening, yeah, we could take an ads out there and kick in some Moki steps or something and clear the vegetation a little. It does get an enormous amount of traffic currently up and down that during daylight hours, and I see the flashlights coming down at night as well. So we ought to try to do something there if we possibly can.
Okay, so evaluate.
We certainly have made a lot of promises that to a lot of people that we're not keeping at this point
I understand.
for that access.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree that I'd be in favor of looking at doing it in-house if we can. And do we have any guesstimate? Perhaps you just don't know the answer to this yet, but I understand we might not get it by the detour opening. Is there kind of a worst-case outside date that we think that if we do it in-house, we could perhaps have it by?
I don't have the answer to that. I think we would need to have a discussion with Deborah and Robin and I and look at the extent of work and you know, we keep asking Robin's crew to do more things, and I'll give you another example here in a few minutes, but you know, we are pressing our staff into a lot of different situations that they normally wouldn't work on.
Okay.
When did we close accepting bids on that?
And bids are the wrong term. We did a bid and we found out we were only going to get one, so under our procurement code, we couldn't take it. So what we did is we went ahead and just got quotes this time to shorten the process.
Yes.
So,
Oh,
and I think today, did you get them back today?
No, it was July 5th, yesterday.
Yesterday.
mm.
And Rob and I only talked about it at 5:15 today when I got back into town.
So we gave lots of time for people to respond to our request.
Oh, I think a couple weeks. And
Yeah,
then
I
the
think
bid
the last
before
quote
that
process was a couple of weeks, and we had had a bid process ahead of that, and we have been working on this in various different forms for a little while. I don't know how familiar the contracting community is, but I do think that we are running up against a timeline, and they recognize that, and are probably also struggling with finishing their own projects.
Sure.
And the next item is going to be on the extreme cost for the bid to do the 8th Street stairs. And we're going to have a very similar conversation. So just, once again, it's labor shortages, they're small jobs.
Can you remind me on both of these projects, what did we have budgeted? This
So
one, I-
for the 14th Street stairs, we have $75,000 in the Grand Avenue Bridge mitigation projects that we put up on the screen some time ago, maybe a month and a half ago, for the council to evaluate all those different things. And we were kind of working through a reduction in the alley project. We were trying to take money out of that alley project, that we knew we weren't going to spend on design, and then spend it in a number of different other locations, and this would have been one of them.
Okay. And with the purchase of the stairs, this total, if we were to award this project to the contractor, we'd be at 125, is that correct? Roughly, because you said 99 was the.
It was 99, and our
Okay.
bid for, our estimate was 50,000, so we would be an additional 50,000 over what we had estimated for the cost.
Right, but then in addition to that, we paid 25. for
We've
the
already
stairs.
paid 25,000 for the
The total
stairs.
cost of the project would be 125, and we
It
budgeted
would.
75, so.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And if I had to pick, and I know we're jumping into the second one, but if we have to pick awarding one of these two, I think this one is more important to have done ahead of the Grand Avenue Bridge closure than the 8th Street one that I think we can do sufficiently in-house. Not perfectly, but
Well, I know this is a bit unusual. Is there any reason we can't just go ahead and bring the discussion?
Yeah,
Can-
you need to compare the two.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Go
so,
ahead and
all
open it-
right, so we'll
open
jump
the
right
next-
into the agenda item 19, the stair, or no, 20, the stairs for the 8th Street connection.
Does that make sense to you?
18 was the clear presentation. 19 was the 14th Street Bridge. And 20 is the,
So now you're jumping to 20.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 And did
Because
we
we can't move.
give any direction?
Well, not yet.
You're just gonna open up 20 and make
We're
decisions.
gonna hear this,
Yeah.
so we know kind of
What you're comparing.
yeah, exactly.
So this is the connection that is immediately to the north and to the west of the existing church site, the Butler Rents site. This was another council priority to get in ahead of the detour closure. It offers a safe connection underneath the 8th Street detour for people on the Rio Grande Trail, so that they could get to both the north side and the south side of 8th Street without actually having to physically be on the road. So an important project. We have been working with Jacobs on the design of this. We have run through multiple iterations to try to avoid impacting the church site as much as possible. And we did get easement agreements from them recently, and you can see that dashed line is the agreement, the permanent easement area. So we're within that permanent easement area and trying to fit in our storm drain facility, which is a part of the permanent project, as well as this path idea. So in order to try and do this quickly and get it out ahead of the closure, we tried to scale the project back. And so you can see on this diagram that there is an area that's not shaded, doesn't have a hatch pattern that's in the middle. That is actually just painted lines on the concrete that they have out there today. The two diagonally hatched areas are asphalt areas. So just a, you know, a temporary surface through there to bring you both up to the 8th Street, the sidewalk that exists on 8th Street today, and also back down to the connection on the Rio Grande Trail. There is a piece of storm drain in there, that it would be a permanent piece of storm drain, and there's a set of stairs and railing that's in there that would also be permanent. Both asphalt pieces and then also the concrete slab itself would come out for a permanent installation. So what we would get to keep out of this would be the stairs, the railing, and the storm drain. Other than that, it would be a temporary installation. We were worried about getting bids back. We talked internally, Deborah, Robin, and I again about what could be done from a staff standpoint. What could we do to try and make this work if we didn't get bids back? We did get bids back on this, and they were a lot closer to our engineer's estimate. Our engineer's estimate for this was $102,000, and our bids were $131,000. It's still, I would say, a lot of money for a temporary, mostly temporary installation. We do get a few pieces of permanent work out here. When Deborah and Robin and I went and looked at this on site, it really didn't seem like it would be that difficult to grade in a connection, just a gravel path connection to the Rio Grande Trail on the west side, and similarly a gravel path connection into the 8th Street sidewalk on the north side there. Both of those are the asphalt areas that would be in this bid. If we were okay with that, you know, it would be a very minimal amount of work. We would need to trim some branches and get in there and grade out a path. It wouldn't be ADA compliant. It wasn't going to be ADA compliant in the current configuration with the stairs. There is ADA access on the north side of the bridge next to the funeral home site for those who need that access. But this was going to be a secondary access. So I guess with this, my recommendation would be that we allow city staff to evaluate, again, making those connections on either side and save that $131,000 and then rebid this work in its permanent configuration with the 8th Street Extension project, which we actually hope to do in 2018.
And it's not very steep. I mean, I can even tell it would be pretty easy to do. It's not very steep.
Would it be possible for us to do that, but instead of leaving it gravel, go ahead and just put a temporary asphalt surface down on it?
I don't know. Let us evaluate that with Robin and see if that's possible, because it's the gravel is obviously the easy thing to do, and it's a grading operation and laying back the slopes just a little bit to get into this concrete slab that exists around the church to the north there. And then, you know, the other side again would be a grading operation. We'd have to see about the asphalt. Let us evaluate that.
I'm just thinking from an all-weather standpoint that, you know, an asphalt surface.
Yeah, would perform a little bit better for those months.
But in my mind, if it's, you know, if we have to pick one or the other, I think, you know, we do have a really good connection. I mean, I know, and in my mind, this one was kind of for kids to get up, and it wouldn't be very hard for them to walk up. It's really not steep.
Yeah.
So if it's a choice between, you know, awarding one of the quotes, I would say we have staff do this one. And then if we really feel the other one has got to get done, then we award the quote. But we are happy to try to do both when we know it's a high priority. Rob and I were going to look over the list and see what could get done. I just can't promise you that the 14th Street stairs are going to get done.
And I realize, you know, we're asking staff to do an awful lot, you know, through from now to the bridge closure. And is staff time any freer once closure happens, that there are some things that they can't be doing other places that they may be a little more freed up, and that doesn't accomplish having either one of these done by the time that it closes? I'm just...
Yeah, I imagine there are going to be areas we're going to find where we're probably a little bored during bridge closure, because we won't have, not necessarily the people who do the work on the ground, but But yes, I think we're going to find some areas we have more capacity because we're no longer having traditional days.
Council, a member of Phoenix Industries is here, the contractor that provided both of these bids, and he just told me that he would be willing to negotiate price on both of those bids if we were to try to go in that direction. We don't know, it would probably be we would have to figure out what that would look like, but I wanted to tell you that as well.
Yeah,
Just to make it clearer.
Yeah, just make your choices a
Make your
little bit more
decision
fuzzy.
easier.
Yeah.
And as far as timing to get this going, I would assume timing is really important right now, that we need to.
we are running out of time.
Sort of make a decision and kind of move
Yeah.
forward.
And we
Right.
still
with
have to
it.
sort through, configurations of parking for like the West Glenwood Mall and the parking
So
lot
we
behind
only
Youth
have-
Zone, and I mean, we're just,
Few other things going on.
Do we,
yeah,
Those are SWAT projects,
correct.
and I don't know what their workload looks like. I know that our engineering department is overwhelmed with projects and other departments in the city. I just don't know how overwhelmed SWAT is in the next 90 days, or 45 days. Whatever we have left going on, I know we were talking about having them cut up an old bridge section as well. That doesn't really need to happen now.
That would be one of the things we would, I mean, I know we would like to get it out before school starts, but that would be one of the things we would probably let slide.
during
But, they're working on the parking lot behind Youth Zone now that needs to get finished, and
A lot of that
I think we're doing the the final cleanup, just because I talked to staff out there
during,
Tuesday or Wednesday.
Look to, take another few days to evaluate maybe what our work schedule looks like and see if we couldn't knock a grade onto this thing in a day or two, and throw down some road base. And I mean, some of these things we just kind of need to throw together and do the best we can at it. And like I say, even that old trail right now we're using, we ought to at least remove those wooden steps before somebody kills himself on it, and at least, get the Boy Scouts over there to cut out some Moki steps or something.
If you guys give us direction to do that, we will. Oh, Rabbit, you're here.
In our conversation this afternoon, I told Deborah that we have a number of projects on SWAT's schedule currently, and obviously we can't add things without something falling off. So I'll remind you that we're down a third in that department. When Bob had passed away, we have not yet filled. We have made an offer for that third position in that department, but as long as there's some flexibility and understanding on council's part that we're doing everything we can reasonably do, we're going to try to hit all the targets. But you're absolutely right. There's a lot of work on everybody's plate at the moment. So,
Yeah, and I don't know what SWAT's complete involvement would be in the 14 and a quarter, whatever that is, but, because I would assume you've got you're gonna get a subcontractor out there that's gonna form up and pour concrete.
I was hoping that, I haven't seen the numbers yet, but I was hoping that we could do some outreach to either that contractor or other contractors and get some sort of partnership that we can combine city staff and their forces and get this thing done.
Yeah.
I think the crane might be the most difficult part of it.
There's,
You rent one.
yeah, we'll have to rent a crane, but, as far as getting the stuff graded, getting it formed and poured, there's, I think, some synergy in combining their forces with city forces and getting it done.
Yep.
But we need a little bit of time to get that figured out.
Yep.
based on our work session we had this morning on the reclamation of the Two Rivers Park shoreline, I think Gary Lacey is perhaps very interested in reusing our bridge for the bridge over to the island. And so at that point, we don't want to start cutting it up.
That was on SWAT's schedule, and I stopped that today, so
Okay, good.
I don't know what the future of repurposing that section or the other section that's in the boneyard is. I suggested to Brian Oligo in the kitchen that if it were up to me, I think I would start with a fresh bridge. It's, you get something that you know, you've got some faith in, that you're gonna get 50 or 75 years of service out of, as opposed to a bunch of unknowns that we have with this current section.
Yeah.
But those evaluations still need to be done.
Yeah, and that's certainly, I don't think there's a reason that why that needs to be a priority at this point in time to cut that up. If there's other things that we can do to help move us towards this detour.
We did make some timeline guarantees to RAFTA when they allowed
Yeah.
us to store. We're way past that, so.
I'm sure though they'd have consideration for our predicament here, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I really would like to get that, whatever we're going to do with it, I would like that decided and give us opportunity to get that done before school starts again. I'd really like to get that out of the
Yeah.
way. It's sort of an attractive nuisance over there for
Yeah.
some folks.
So Jim, if we were to, it seems like we have multiple options, so it's really clear, our choices, but,
And no time to
and no time to decide.
meet on it
So-
again.
So, it sounds like, you know, we can kind of explore two different paths over the next few days. One is having SWAT do one or both of these, and the other is renegotiating with the contractor. Obviously,
And that's the difficult piece.
And we need to make a decision, probably no later than Monday would be my guess, and so we would have to have a special meeting.
Jim
Or-
had a decent idea.
Yeah. So I think you can authorize staff to negotiate with the contractor and then give us a price of how high we can go. And I think, so like the 14th Street stairs, and the contractor may say, no, can't do it, so, but we can't waste money, too much money. We can add a premium to meet schedules, knowing the labor shortage, and we're in a crisis, almost a crisis situation, but it's not that big of a crisis to throw too much money at it. So 14th Street stairs, negotiate with the contractor, not to exceed 65,000. And then he came in at 100, but this is not that big of a project. That was them throwing a number out there. We have an engineer's estimate, it's at 50,000. It's the crane and some footers. I mean, it's not an easy project, but it's gonna go really quick. So that could, and if the contractor's here, then that's a pretty, let's slam that one out.
I'd feel much more comfortable at that level than I would at 99.
Yeah, and then, you know, if we can't, and if that, and so we explore if we can do it in-house. It'd be great if the contractor could take this off of our plate, and if it makes sense for them, great. And then 8th Street, I think we're thinking we might rather just figure out how to do that one in-house.
I don't think that one's a difficult project.
Yeah. If you're willing to allow it being even more temporary of a situation for a season.
I would hope, like I said, I mean, do you think,
Bring in
other
this-
than getting the availability of Grand River or one of the other pavers to come in and put asphalt down, do you anticipate any major problems other than that in doing that?
The grading work is pretty straightforward. It's the surfacing. We talked when Deborah and Terry and I walked it, we talked about using millings, for example, if we have any available. Certainly we can check with the pavers and see. Paving companies this time of year are realizing they've overestimated their abilities, so it's hard to get weaseled into their schedule, but it's not impossible.
And this is handwork too, it's not a typical
Right.
paver.
Right.
But we do, I believe that we have old millings stored out at South Canyon, CDOT's old millings. And, you know, maybe old millings would work, you know, we'd have to wet them down quite a bit and compact them in, but that's exactly what we had fresher millings for the new lot over here at Usum.
For the new what?
Fresher millings, recent millings from Highway 6 and from Midland for our new parking lot across the street.
Oh, okay. I haven't actually seen it yet, so. Is it
It's a
coming
lovely
together?
temporary parking lot.
It is very nice.
All right.
I got a commitment today on 3,000 feet of handwork, and didn't seem to be.
Yeah, like I say, it's, like we can still get into schedules. It's just, this is a little unique, but it is not typical paving work.
Well, I appreciate Jim's suggestion, and that feels like a more comfortable number to me than 99. You know, I mean, it almost, you know, I don't want to feel taken advantage of for this project and for the circumstances that we're in. So I guess I would recommend that we.
We had an original budget number at this that we all felt comfortable with. And I don't recall what that was, and I'm sure you can't either at this point in time, but, and then it fell off the pipe because another number came in. So if we were somewhere in between that, I would feel comfortable with going ahead, given our situation here.
Yeah, I do, before we go too far in our deliberations, I think we do need to take public comment
Yeah.
on these items. Is it okay, Jim, if we take public comment
You're
on
allowed.
either or both of them?
Whenever you'd like, let the
Okay.
public talk.
All right, so at this point, I would open it up for anyone from the public to address either the 14th Street or the 8th Street stair contract. It's up to you, you don't have to talk.
You don't have to, it's an opportunity.
I don't want to make you. Just a little bit.
I'm told nothing's going over the air, so
Yeah.
Still.
still.
Or
So anything you say is just in this room.
We
We're-
our
we're-
friendly
we're-
reporter.
Yeah, we're usually supposed to be on TV, but I guess it's not working tonight.
Lucky me. So I think 14th Street, the difficulty with the 14th Street is not necessarily the concrete work or removing the dirt, it's all the ancillary pieces and parts that go with a typical bid of this nature. The slope protection, the seating specifications, the erosion control specifications, the requirement for RAFTA to have a bunch of flaggers, and the requirement for if, that whole section down at the bottom there, where we're gonna be bringing a crane in to be able to set the stairs up above, we've got power lines that are in the way. And it is a lot of money, don't get me wrong, it is a lot of money, for what you guys are asking for, I don't disagree with that, but, we don't have a labor shortage, we're a pretty small company. The chief cook and bottle washer, you're looking at it, so. But there are some things that we can do to make this, I'll call it value engineering, it's probably the correct terminology that would make this probably a little more palatable. The 8th Street difficulty is the 2 permanent storm manholes that are going in. We contractors typically go 6 to 8 feet, no problem all day. We've got shoring equipment and all that to make it safe for 6 to 8 feet. But the problem is that the lower one is a 10-foot manhole, and then the upper one up above the stairs is a 15-foot manhole. And so, and we're working right up against the church, and there's no way to store the dirt. We're trying to respect the church parking lot and not interfere with them and cause them any headaches. So we're just trying to haul everything off, bring everything back in, and that drives up that cost considerably. So the rest of the project is pretty cut and dry. Small amount of dirt to pull out, small amount of grading, small amount of reseed. It's really pretty easy, but that storm sewer is the biggest chunk of the project. So would be my 2 comments.
Just out of curiosity on that one, I don't know if you have the numbers in your head, but if we were to essentially do what the city is considering doing, which is just grading a path, throwing down some aggregate, and then putting, say, a 2-inch or 3-inch mat of asphalt on it, how quickly could you put an estimate together on that?
Oh, well, yeah, once we sit down and have a conversation of exactly what people want, I can turn the numbers around overnight. That's not a problem.
Okay.
And I do think you guys are onto something there, by the way.
Yeah. Because all we want right now is a connection to that side of 8th Street for the
Yep.
detour. So, I mean, ultimately, we're gonna need more. We'll need the deep storm sewer and everything else, but We don't need that in the next 39 days,
Fair enough.
which is what we got, so.
I think this one, a redesign, makes sense as we're getting there. And for 14th Street, if there's some value engineering, because the specs, I mean, I don't know, there could be some room in there where you're like, that's what's driving up the cost, and we could say, oh, well, that's not as important, we realize that.
And it's not anything out of the ordinary, it's just
But-
standard contractual language. And then on a bigger project, it kind of gets lumped in with everything else, and it's not as noticeable. But on a smaller project like this, it becomes a very noticeable sum.
And it sounds like it's a small enough project that I could potentially handle that one under my own authority.
Which one, the 8th Street?
Yeah, if we scale it down, or
Yeah.
let's put it this way, if it's more than my authority, then we should look at doing it in-house.
Right, there you go.
Well, if I could, these are important projects, and they're very time sensitive, and if we need to get back together, I'm sure we could pull a quorum together at any time in the next 2 weeks.
Maybe that's the easier way to go.
get this done. Yeah.
And I also do have you did give me the ability to ignore any part of the municipal code, and it does include our procurement code as well. So, not that I'm looking to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Please drop us an email.
I do try to keep you informed.
So what do you think? We don't need a decision yet, except direction to negotiate and see if we can make this happen?
Yeah.
Is there, I guess, before we
Sorry.
get there, that's right. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to speak about this? Is there anyone from the public? I think I see 2 public people, 3. Everyone else is city staff and press. You don't count as public. Sorry, John.
Well, then you can speak if you want.
Yeah.
Does he get quoted if he's?
Yeah, can you could get up and speak and then quote yourself. Just kidding.
I think at least for the 14th Street project, or the new name, I would like the budget on that one, how high.
Okay,
I feel comfortable that this one, 8th Street, we can get done one way or the other.
okay, either, redesign and renegotiate or do it in-house. Okay. All right, so I guess I will close it to the public, bring it back to council for discussion, and it sounds like maybe what we need is a motion to, or do we need to actually take a formal motion on that, make a formal motion on this?
If you're,
Authority for the
yeah,
65.
yeah, the authority to go up to 65.
Well, I can ignore the procurement code, I would prefer not to.
Okay.
It seems to be a number everyone's comfortable with. And if we can't do it, we can't do it. We'll talk to you again about
And
it.
that's somewhere, I think, as I recall,
In the middle.
between our original budget
Yeah.
and where it fell off the
Yeah,
table.
yeah,
It's
The first-
I'm not comfortable going back up to where it fell off the table.
yeah,
That's why it fell off the table.
Yep.
yeah, okay. So, do I hear a motion?
I'll take a stab at it. I just lost my place. Resolution 2017-32, resolution of the City of Glenwood Springs contracting for the installation of the stairs for the 14th Street pedestrian bridge. I would move that we direct staff to negotiate for a not to exceed contract of $65,000. And do I need to include anything else?
I think that's good.
Is that okay?
And I'll just have an understanding that if that does not happen, we'll look at the same time of whether we can do it in-house while we're
Yeah.
negotiating.
Okay.
To include possibly some in-house contribution to the
Yep.
project to
Right.
make something happen.
Yep.
I'd second that.
All right, so we have a motion by Kathy and a second by Steve to direct staff to renegotiate contract for the installation of the stairs for the 14th Street pedestrian bridge with an amount not to exceed $65,000 and direction to staff to continue to review their potential contributions and/or construction of this project themselves. All right. Is there any further discussion? Let's go ahead and call the question.
The motion passes unanimously.
All right.
And,
Go ahead.
well, I was just going to say in resolution 2017-33,
I think we're gonna pass on
are
that
we
one.
just not going to do anything? Okay, so we don't have to,
Because hopefully
just direct.
it can fit under Deborah's
Okay.
authority.
Okay,
Perfect.
excellent. Thanks, Terry.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Terry.
Robin. Thank you. All right. So next item, agenda item 20A, ordinance number 15, series of 2017, an ordinance of the City of Glenwood Springs, Colorado, amending section 100.020.010 of the municipal code relating to the use of animal leashes on city hard surface trails and paths. Who's presenting that? You?
Sure.
Okay.
Essentially, we need to be able to enforce a handheld leash law during the Grand Avenue Bridge detour to promote safety, because we know the paths are going to be used almost as if they are roads. We don't have the authority now. I cannot create code under the authority you've given me. I can only ignore existing code. So that is why we've brought this to you. We'll have, if you approve it, we'll have the first reading tonight, second reading at the next meeting. It'll be effective within 10 days. So we'll get in just before the bridge closure.
Okay.
And is there, is this date specific? I can't-
No, it's not. You're basically redefining the leash law to say a leash means 6 feet on hard surface, on most places in the city.
Okay, all right.
And I think you might find that to be pretty average and normal. I mean, people do have the
Okay.
extended leashes that could go 10, 12
Right.
feet.
Right.
And I think if, after the project, you can just reevaluate it if you're getting complaints, but that's pretty typical.
Pretty typical, okay.
And that was kind of the direction you gave us when we
Mhm.
talked about it, was to
Right.
move forward with it.
Right.
And I know from just personal experience riding a bike, when
Yeah.
a 95-pound dog runs in front of you, it is dangerous,
Mhm.
and it happens a lot.
Scary.
Yeah,
And this also includes within the boundaries of Two Rivers Parks. Just to,
because that's gonna have a lot of, during the
Yeah.
detour as well, we're gonna have a lot of kids going through there,
Right.
and it's gonna be really heavily used.
we're gonna have to enforce our leash law a lot more than in the past. So there's a lot of off-leash dogs in Two Rivers Parks that you see, and so I think after the bridge project, we come back to how we enforce things
Right, right.
and where do we put our resources.
You know, and in thinking of the trail and the path down to the 14.5 Street Bridge.
14.75.
Okay. I mean, that's a very popular
Definitely.
Yeah.
off-leash dog area, so that will, we probably need to sign that or to include that in our PR campaign.
We're giving the police department and the city prosecutor the right tools so when they have to enforce it, it'll work.
Okay.
And then I think you can back off when necessary too. The code's gotta be written correctly, otherwise it won't work when it needs to. That's kind of what we're looking at with this.
All right, thank you. At this point, I'll open it up to the public for any public comment on the, on amending our municipal code relating to the use of animal leashes on city hard surface trails and paths. Going once, going twice. All right. Close it to public comment, bring it back to council for a motion and discussion.
I would move to
I mean,
approve.
The other way around, discussion and a motion.
Motion and discussion. I would move to approve ordinance number 15, series of 2017, an ordinance of the City of Glenwood Springs, Colorado, amending section 100.020.010 of the municipal code relating to the use of animal leashes on city hard surface trails and paths. And sidewalks?
That's the hearts, it gets encompassed.
Okay.
All right, is there a second?
Sure.
Okay. We have a motion by Kathy and a second by Steve to approve ordinance number 15, series of 2017, an ordinance in the city of Palm Springs, Colorado, amending section 100.020.010 of the municipal code relating to the use of animal leashes on city hard surface trails and paths. Any further discussion? Let's call the question.
The motion passes unanimously.
All right, now at this point, we are up to our appointment of Downtown Development Authority board members. And I'm not sure we have enough ballots because I'll just remind everyone that although this isn't policy, it's kind of an approach we've been taking recently. Oh, mackerel.
It's a way to whittle down a decision when there's a lot of options.
And I have not seen this many options.
Yeah, and
That's
we
great.
have four
It is
people
great.
voting for 3 seats out of 12 candidates. And so the reality is that each candidate needs to receive at least 3 of our votes, is what I'm saying. You know, so we may be voting multiple times.
I have lots of sheets.
All right.
I do appreciate everyone who has applied. It
Yes.
is great to see so many people interested and so many highly qualified people as well.
If nothing else, I get so much out of the interview process and the opportunity
yeah.
to talk to so many people that are so interested in what's going on in town and get their perspective on it. You know, it's a better opportunity than what we typically get with any boards or commissions routinely. So that interview process is working out well, I think.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Trugger, Collins, Hardy.
Oh, wait, hold on.
That's not quite how we
Yeah, let's just read the names,
Yeah,
and I'll just,
it'll go faster.
yeah.
And we have the ballots if press are.
Collins,
Yes.
Hardy, and Lee. Collins, Hardy, and Lee. Collins, Hardy, Lee.
Yeah.
Brady, Collins, Mercatoris.
Okay, well, there are 4 votes for Collins, 3 for Hardy, and 3 for Lee.
So now we need a motion on that one, now that you have the guidance from this process.
Okay, so
We ended up with
Collins, Hardy, and Lee.
Collins, Hardy, and Lee.
Yep.
Okay, I would move to appoint to the Downtown Development Authority based on the vote that was just taken, Jody Collins, Graham Hardy, and Chad Lee to the Downtown Development Authority.
is there a second?
Do I have to second everything tonight? I feel like a stand-in seconder. I'll second that.
Okay. We have a motion by Kathy and a second by Steve, reluctantly, to appoint Jody Collins, Graham Hardy, and Chad Lee to the Downtown Development Authority Board. Any further discussion? Let's go ahead and call the question.
The motion passes unanimously.
All right. At this point, we're up to the city manager report.
Okay, I'm going to invite Leslie up, and we're going to talk about our meeting today first.
Excellent.
Okay, up where?
Right there.
Yeah, and I'll let Leslie do most of the talking. It was a really good meeting. So there those of you who may not know, we met with the governor today to kind of lobby Glenwood Springs in general, and also the head of CDOT, specifically to talk about our Tiger Grant, but then also just about Glenwood Springs to kind of keep us on, his level. We didn't get a, yes, we will absolutely pick your Tiger program for grant over everyone in the state, but we did get, essentially 40 minutes with the governor where he was interested and supportive, and the stuff pays off in the long run.
And also you said Shaylin Bott?
Yep. What was your take, Leslie?
I guess that I thought that the Tiger Grant was a little bit more of a long shot from that
Which
meeting.
they always are.
Right. We did kind of talk a little bit of strategy on how those things get funded, and Deborah was very direct with the governor about asking whether he would support our application, and he basically said, they talked about, they were honest with us, and they did not make a commitment to support our application, but that was more, they would need to see what applications came in from who and for how much, but
It did say, look for state funding, which we
Right.
were going to do anyway, and kind of suggested some options.
I thought they had some creative new ideas. My takeaway was that they had some ideas for state money that we hadn't thought of and that we will approach.
And they were very interested in helping us with the UP.
Yeah, so,
That was extraordinarily useful. So-
and that was totally a brainstorm from their conversation. We were talking about 8th Street, we broke down the project, talked about land acquisition versus construction costs, and we started talking about Union Pacific, and it was interesting because that was a spontaneous idea that came out of the discussion, and we even kind of talked about how to get that done, so.
That really took up, I would say, like 20 minutes. Talking about it took about 20 minutes of the conversation, so they were definitely interested in that part.
That's great.
And the governor asked Shaylin, or Executive Director Bott, whatever the proper reference would be, to do some research for that Union Pacific idea and get back to him. And I was also encouraged because we talked about what we could do at a local level to make that happen, and the governor actually said to us, I think that should, I'll take that on at my level. So that was encouraging, and I feel that more than anything, we got to, to get that audience was amazing, and to let them know what we're doing and our interest and what we're, because he did talk about, Mike, what you had talked about in terms of coming back from Washington and matching funds, and they talked about that, but they also came up with new ideas for us. So I can't think of a better meeting, really. It was good.
And I think it's more than anything, just, we are a small town on the western slope. Just getting face time with the governor as we're going to go and pursue state funding is a good thing.
Well, even if we don't pursue anything, just getting our face in front of him and making our needs known, I think is critical, and that's fantastic about
Yeah.
PRR.
Yeah,
And-
I'd like
and
to
then
thank
direct-
Leslie, because she got the meeting, so thank you, Leslie. Thanks.
Yeah, that was good. But Director Bott did talk about how many times he's been to Glenwood working on the Grand Avenue Bridge project, his interest in the project. I thought it was kind of funny. I said, well, what do you think of it? It's gorgeous. What do you think? And he said, well, what do you think? It was like, what does the community think about this bridge? And
Is he coming to our grand opening?
you bet. So he's been up here a lot and plans to be up here a lot, and so has Governor Hickenlooper. He was here, he passed through last weekend, so
Great.
I think it was good. We're out there
Nice
kicking the
job.
tires.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Leslie.
Good. Okay, fire restrictions. I imposed level 1 fire restrictions last week, and under the code, I have to tell you about it in a public meeting. Same thing for our bike pass. We allowed e-bikes last Friday on the code. on our trails. And once again, I have to tell you about it at a public meeting. We're gonna work towards taking the signs down and a press release to let people know. I also wanted to let you know that come August 7th is when we're going to implement the 10-hour days, 4 days a week, to give staff a week to get used to it and sort out their schedules and to kind of give people some time to sort it out as well. That is all I can think of right now. Yes, Steve?
Killed my full moon.
The what?
You killed my full moon.
How did I kill your full moon?
There's a fire restriction.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't want to burn the town down.
I thought maybe if I invited Gary.
Yes.
And the fire engine.
And the whole
It just needs to start raining.
yeah, a lot.
And hopefully everyone enjoyed the 4th of July.
I did.
You guys did some excellent work.
Yeah, and on that point, I would just like to thank all of the city staff that has worked so hard. Brian, thank you. Olivia's not here, Olivia Carmichael, she did a fantastic job in sort of taking the bull by the horns and managing the whole thing.
She's a determined young lady.
Yes, she is. She's very persuasive. Of course, Chief Tillotson and the fire department, they did a great job, and as did Chief Wilson and PD. So, and I know all Parks Department was involved, and they did a great job. Jen and Leslie, you guys are awesome. Leslie's an awesome face painter, as is our own Rick Voorhees. So anyway, thanks to who got missed.
Many people, but we're going to do a thank you with our staff.
Okay,
Well,
all right.
it's the
Anyway,
party, I think.
Yeah, there was a lot of involvement, so thanks to everybody.
Also, a lot of pictures that are going to go into a Christmas slideshow.
Cool, yeah, because SWAT did the little cornhole toss thingies, that was great. So, anyway, good job.
Do you have anything to report?
Nothing from my office.
All right. As far as incoming or outgoing correspondence, we did receive a letter from Pat Thrasher, who is the president of the Glenwood Railroad Museum, requesting that we send a letter of support for the museum to the chairman and CEO of Union Pacific and the vice president of external relations of Union Pacific regarding their proposal to increase their rent from whatever it is, $250 per year to about $28,000 per year. Before I were to sign a letter like that, I would certainly need the direction of council to do that. I don't know what everyone's thoughts are on that. I think what Union Pacific wants to do is put something in there that's, earning a fair market value for the space. If the museum can't do it, then they'll put something else there. I think the museum is enjoyed by a lot of people. I honestly don't know how many visitors go into it. I've been in it once myself in however many years. I'm not trying to say that doesn't mean that it's an important place.
That's just because you don't have as many grandchildren as I do.
Probably not. I don't have, I'm currently at 0 grandchildren.
Which would be,
Because I find
children's
myself
probably
there a
a
lot.
good thing.
It probably doesn't hurt to send a letter. It probably won't help significantly.
Yeah, but along the same lines too, I think it's important to make sure, that I understand it's a volunteer-run museum. So, I think, the more we can attract people into that by having regular hours, and that's been the comment that I've heard, is that it's not often open when would just encourage the Glenwood Railroad Museum volunteers to maybe work with, I don't know, with the historical museum to see if they can, if they're short of volunteers, see if there's something that they can do to sort of help them out, volunteer-wise and kind of pool resources, because I think it's a cool thing. I think it's a really cool thing, but I think we need to make sure that it's available when people want to be there.
Okay. So is there anyone opposed to us sending a letter of support for the Railroad Museum? No? Is that something that staff could put the letter together?
Yes.
That'd be great, thank you. I believe that is the extent of the incoming outgoing correspondence. We did receive a letter from a local resident regarding an interaction with a board member. Is that something that,
I'm gonna meet with that resident shortly. And I would suggest we wait and talk about that until we have full council.
okay. And I know that, or at least I've been told that we're actually not on the air, so I don't know if this is gonna go out to anybody, but there was a lot of angst over, I think, today over certain people being told they couldn't drink beer at Trivers Park last night during summer music, and I think that's been addressed by the police department.
It has. We are good.
Yep, and then I think there was also an issue of people being told to leave the park by our security before the park actually closed.
We're going to talk with the security. Just a couple of growing pains.
Yeah.
And that's actually a new thing for us to have security at that event, is it not?
Summer music,
No, they've had it.
security there before.
It's
Just
just
not Citadel
more
security.
than-
Because
I think it was, though.
I've had to hide my wine bottles from
Yeah.
them, so. I didn't say it out loud. That's right.
They're plastic.
They
Plastic.
were a hard plastic wine bottle, that's exactly right.
Yep.
They seem to certainly be bolstered at this last event.
I think we
Maybe
may have
since the city
hired
took
more,
over.
yeah, I think we did have more in line with what it's recommended to have per people who attend. I couldn't tell you
Curious
what
who
the,
makes those recommendations, really, I don't know. I go to festivals and Salida and other places, feel so securitized.
I think-
These are good comments.
yeah.
Staff's gonna take a conservative approach when it takes something new on, and if we're feeling like that's too much, it's good to get some feedback, and it's no longer us that are making those conservative decisions, so,
Yeah, I'm always happy to spend less money.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But I think we didn't quite necessarily know what we were getting,
Yeah.
and so we just
I just like
took a stab at it, and we can readjust.
in that by saying that I'd really be interested to see from Chief Wilson maybe, or his department, the history of issues
Yeah.
that we've had at that event that would require more security than we've had in the past. That's
That
what
probably
I'm
wasn't
saying.
what caused it, but it sounds like, I think it's a good thing to look at what have been the issues. Do we need to be spending the money on it
Yeah.
as well? It's not just the,
From a vegetarian.
I have a very eager event planner.
She's very thorough.
She's
Yeah.
wonderful.
yep.
Yeah, and I had a discussion with her about, in addition to the security people telling people to leave the park before it was actually closed, at the 4th of July festival,
Yeah,
they weren't overly polite about it either.
No.
And which is very contrary to how our police officers, I've always experienced them. I mean, I often joke that our police officers can tell someone
Where to go?
where to go and you would enjoy the trip. And
So are people not enjoying the experience with security?
yes.
I mean, I haven't interacted with them at all.
staff is hearing the gray that you're giving us
Yes.
in our black and white world, and we will try to implement that.
And are we on council comments?
You're in correspondence, but
We're in correspondence, we don't really
we
have council
can,
comments.
we can be flexible,
Okay,
Steve.
comments, I think.
That was earlier, that was before the.
You can,
But you,
Oh.
we'll comment away though.
I'm happy to hear
Well,
comments.
all of you, except Jim and I, missed the Fermentation Fest this last week.
There.
You know
Oh,
why?
yeah, you were there briefly.
Jen was there.
I worked 20 hours a day Saturday and Sunday, so.
And it was a really well-done event and well-attended, and the music was
Yeah, really fun.
great, and there was a lot of different brewers there. I thought a great selection,
Mm-hmm.
and,
I like the distilleries.
yeah, it was just a great time. Marilyn and I attended both nights, stayed till they kicked us out, and,
Did they kick you out for life?
yeah.
Yeah.
It was also the same security guys.
Oh.
You know, it's
Citadel.
Citadel.
Citadel, but they were, yeah, I thought they did a good job. We didn't feel overpressured to buy them or anything like that, so. Anyway, I thought that was a good event, and I'm looking forward to it again next year.
It is good.
And I apologize, I forgot.
I know,
I was,
He'd had a few tastings.
yeah.
that's all I got to say about that.
That's all I got to say about that. Okay. Glad we got a chuckle out of the press. So,
Not the first Forrest Gump reference I've heard this week.
Life is like a box of chocolates.
All right, bake your down.
All right, actually, we've got to, I don't have a motion to, oh, you got
That
it,
after the
okay.
gavel banging?
Now, we got an executive session, so,
Yeah.
do you want to read the, we have an executive session scheduled on the agenda to discuss the Arts Center, the old library, and an IGA with CDOT. Is there a motion?
Sure, yeah, so. No, okay, you're the motion maker, I'm the seconder.
Okay, I, Catherine Trogger, move to go into executive session for the purpose of conducting a conference with the city manager and city attorney to discuss the city's purchase, acquisition, lease, transfer, or sale of real property, determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and instructing negotiators, and to conduct a conference with the city attorney to receive legal advice in accordance with CRS 24-6-4024A, B, and E. No council member has a personal interest in the property acquisition or sale.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. So we've cleared the room. It's July 6, 2017, and